Hi, my name is Delia. Welcome to my podcast. This sort of Pursuit of Happiness, the latest version. And I have next to me a very, very special guest. It's a young actress. She worked in Spain and in the United States, And for now, I have her right by my side, and we will talk about life, about the good life, about the joy, about how to find the joy and the authenticity in small things and in your purpose. Why not? Hello, we welcome Alina Năstase.
Hello, Delia. So nice to be here, and it's such a pleasure and such a joy just to start how we met. Right? It was such a synchronicity of the life itself, and we were in this beautiful coffee, and I was with my computer, and you were with your friend, and I heard you speak about life, and about joy, and about happiness, and that attracted me so much, and then we just started to share, and here we are today talking about happiness and joy with all of you, with your channel, and I'm so happy to be here and so proud of you to start this.
Thank you. Okay, let's start with the beginning. Let's go a little backwards from the moments. Let's go to the first moment when you dreamed about being an actress, because we will talk about your career as well, your profession, and I suppose that this makes you happy, right?
My profession?
Yes.
Yeah. I think I was a very curious and hyperactive kid since I was little. And I remember I've always loved to observe people. Like I was with my mom, as every mother concerns about, protect your kid. And I was going everywhere, talking to everybody, and I was just staring at them like this. And of course, in a way of, behavior, it's not good. You're
appropriate.
Not appropriate. And I was just so fascinated about every human being. And I was like staring like this in wonder. And then I would just go and talk to them and ask questions. And I was very sensitive with animals, with insects. I couldn't kill them. I was just looking at them like with zoom and feeling them like a human somehow. And I was like, oh look, it has this smirk, like expressions. So then somehow my parents realized like I'm very sensitive, but I was very strong because I was fearless at the same time. But then said, okay, because I was so much active, I couldn't focus too much at school. I was getting bored. So then the teacher said, okay, she needs like arts, she needs sports, she needs all this to maintain her curiosity alive, and so she can slow down and she can be focused. And then my parents decided to put me in Waldorf school, and karate, boxeo, taekwondo. And from there, I started to actually like feel all this like happiness, because I was like nervous all the time when I was little. I was like seeing, but I wanted had so much energy, and if it was not like put into all this space channeled. And when I started to act, and when I started to do to go into other like humans, as I was observing them and become them, my first character was a tree. And then I was, okay, how can I play a tree? And I remember the salcia in Bucharest, and I was with my mom. We went to the park, and I was seeing salcia and how it moved, and I was like, wow, it's so graceful. And I was more rigid when I was a kid, until I get to observe and understand. I also went to dancing classes. And then I was like, wow, it feels like a ballerina. And then my brain, and then I started to observe all the details, and I started to be fascinated about just to observe the details, and I found so much joy. And when I did the salcia, for the first time, I felt the zone. They talked about the zone. Like I completely disappeared, and I was this salcia and completely moving, but somehow my brain and my body was connected in a way that it wasn't anymore. And then I remember, like it was yesterday, that I protect them in a way that I cover, and that was not a direction from a director. And they were like, oh my God, and everybody came and congrats, like, you are a tree. And that feeling when the other people came and say, oh my God, Alina, you are a tree. And I was super little, I was like 7.5, because that was the first year in Waldorf. And I felt so good, I felt so much joy. And then I knew, like, I want to be an actress. And the director of the schools, because in Waldorf school they give every kid, they observe every kid, and they say, okay, based on how you are, you should go to this direction, and say to the parents. And
what was your characterization as a personality?
Yes, when she said first to my parents that she'd be an actress was when I sing the song Bunei Vinu Gârguliu. And I was only 8.5, right? And I was talking about heartbreak and like the wine and getting drunk, and I was in such a place. Can you imagine, 8.5? And then the director said, oh my God, I think she can go to be an actress. And then my mom told me, and I was like, oh, that means to be an actress. Like, yeah, but it's hard. And then she explained me all the things. I was like, I can live all these lives that I'm so curious. Like, I can be all these things in one life. She's like, yeah, I guess. And then I was like,
what were the obstacles or the blockages that your mom told you about related to this profession?
Well, there's a lot of fears as parents. For this profession, especially back in the time. Now it's more relaxed, but there's still, especially the vulnerability of a woman, and how is the difficulty to be like focused and strong, and especially like not distracted, and go for your talent, to be protected as the talent is. Not to have any other distraction or any other roads that you'd come like in everything. Like, it can be distracted by bad behaviors, by unfortunately like situations that can hurt you. So my mom wanted to protect me, obviously.
So you are in your 8.5-year-old play with wine and everything, and your mom, it was about your awareness related to all the characters that you can play in one lifetime, and
yes,
all the persons that you could become in
yes,
a way or another,
yes,
by being an actress. So I'm going to ask you a question now.
Mm-hmm.
Do you often play roles in your real life? Are you yourself like authentic, as we talk about authenticity, or you often need to put on masks?
That's a really wonderful question, and I went through this transformation because at the beginning, of course, we're not aware that we wear masks. A mask is basically a programmation, and it starts from your childhood with your family. We wear the mask that our parents teach us, and then we transform that mask with the school, with the environment, with the friends. So yes, I was my authentic self on that mask, right? But as much as I was studying acting, I realized that I was wearing a mask. And then while I was realizing I was wearing a mask, because there's so many teachings with psychology, with exercise, with a lot of things that they teach you how to remove all who you are in order to become like a white sheet, so you can put all these characters on. And then you go through, healings, traumas, and ideas, and suffering, and there's many techniques, Stanislavski, Grotowski, Lecoq, they all go inside of that road. And then I was like, oh, okay, so this is not me, truly me. Who is me? And then I start to enter into this crisis of identity, because I was like, if this is not me, who is Alina? And then in some point in Spain, I got to a place where I felt, because after I went from Romania to Spain, we were going there, I was 14. When we moved to Spain, I realized myself was not good enough, based on, the preconcept of when you are out of a country, you're not from that country. And in that time, in Spain, in Romania, they will know about Romanian from a certain point of view. They didn't know the whole, the whole culture, the whole art. Yeah. So they had some preconcept about that.
So you faced a lot of prejudice from
a lot
other
of
people.
Prejudice, yes. And then I was like, oh, I'm not good enough. Oh, this is a problem. Ooh, my hair, my culture is a problem. Like, wait, what? No, I know who I am. I know where I come from. I know that's not true. I know this is, based on certain groups of people or based on certain ideas. And then I started truly looking at myself, because I was receiving all this boom, boom, boom,
the judgments from people.
Yeah, and
a certain behavior,
and certain. I always like to dress well, to do like combination of clothes, because my mom also like teach me that. She loved that, and I love that. It comes from painting as well, and Waldorf I was painting. That was another career I would have chosen, painting. So I love colors. So I will mix my outfits, always being like a doll at that time. And for some reason they thought that was like provocative. Although I never wear like something too provocative, but for my body or my essence, how I was, they felt it like a lot, and they had this preconcept idea of Romanians women with a lot of like mafias and prostitution and a lot of things. And I was a virgin and I was like little, but there were so many like, oh,
so
look
they
at
were
her.
thinking that you are provoking by the way you behave and you dress.
By the way I was dressing and just being confident, because I was always confident. That was my essence. Like I, from this freedom that I have inside and in this joy of life, I exuberate a lot of confidence. So they felt like, and
this one is not matching.
It's not matching, or something is, that's because, yeah, it's always about, insecurities. We're always mirroring each other, all humanity. So and when something happens, you see it in front, it's like, oh, this is something I need to heal. So the moment that it's not ready, we'll attack. So It's bouncing back all the time. But at that time, I couldn't understand that. So it deeply hurt me.
So they were bothered by the fact that they are not confident, and your confidence was bothering them.
Yes.
In fact, it was mirroring their unconfidence.
Yeah.
And
but at that time, I didn't know, and I was a teenager in a new country, in a new language, in a new culture. So I remember my therapist was my journal, and I started journaling, and then I discovered the power of journaling, because it's almost like your own hand. Gives you like tools and teaching, because it's a connection with a higher source, and we will go there because I believe in the higher power, God. I don't want to enter in religion, but I'm truly connected with that higher connection, and will lead me, and I will start seeing, oh, I need to read this book, I need to understand this, I need to, by the way, then I will go back to my pages, and that was my confidence. And I was like, this person, this to me, and this cool. Because sometimes even speaking with parents, they can't help you enough, because for them as well was a transition, and there was so much to navigate, as adults, way more than us as kids. Yeah. So. That was
But in the end, you were studying there, so you did your college and your
I did education. High school. I did bachillerato. I don't know how is this, high school, and then the University of Theater. And when I went to the University of Theater,
where
in Zaragoza, but it is one of the oldest schools of Spain, and you can only enter by applying and not paying, and your talent will allow you to enter. And there were like 300 positions and only 12 to enter. And I remember my father was like, well, I want you to study marketing. You're really good at communication and you always talk, so you're going to be just fine doing marketing or lawyer. And I was like, oh, and I've seen it. And I was like, laws, I love laws, but oh, so I get to speak on a stage and fight for people. Yeah, but I have to defend also those that are not good. Well, yeah. I was like, like, I'm not sure if I can, like, you know, live with that. And then marketing, I liked it. I always liked selling. But I said, I'm going to live just one life selling different products. And I couldn't I'd see myself in that either. And then I said, okay, Papa, look, if I enter by my talent in this school, then I can continue. And he's like, yeah, let's see. And then I remember I was like, okay, super focused, and my mom actually helped me with a test, because she actually wanted to be an actress. She actually, when she was 19, she was in the covers of a newspaper here in Romania. She was gorgeous and all that, but you know, in that time, my father said, you either choose career or family, and yeah, that's something exactly. There, a pain.
So she didn't listen to her inner voice. And,
she chose family, and
which is not bad.
Which is amazing, because here I am, thanks to you know, that choice and my mom. But yeah, somehow she also she get to enjoy the process through me, you know, of what would have been to be an actress. So when I did, you know, the casting, she was there helping me and seeing, you know, like a director. Oh, I like this, I like that, you know? And that gave me a lot of, you know, confidence and a lot of like joy to do it for my mom as well. Like, it was this team, me and my mom, you know, and I went with that confidence when I did the casting. I will exuberate that confidence from my mom support. And my mom is not a person that will tell you you're good if something it's not good. It's like she's really critic that in her own perspective, you know, she wants you to be better and better and better. So I will trust her her evaluation.
Good.
Yeah, and
it's very important.
It's not super important.
It's not a small thing to have someone so important as a mother to stay behind you and teach you and lead you and
I know,
comfort you and make you feel stronger, like a coach. It's very important.
And I had a relationship with her like a friend, you know. She always said, because when I start to not believe in myself because of all this coming towards me, she's like, do you look at yourself? Look at yourself in the mirror. What do you see? And I was like, yeah, but look what they're saying. Know what they're saying. What do you see? And I was like, yeah, you're right. And if I didn't have my mom so strong, because I was very sensitive. I was strong, but I was very sensitive, very like a sponge. I'm still like a sponge, you know, but I can discern more. But I was like a sponge at that moment, and it got me. It got me.
Of course.
So thank to my mom.
You're
like
empathic.
I always say, my mom is my biggest angel, and she's such a strong woman. Such a strong woman.
Alina, you're very lucky. And I want you to think back about the moment when your mom first told you the downside of being an actress. Is there a time or a role or a person that you remember like a shadow, like something that harmed you or made you remember the teachings of your mom when you were very, very young, and she said, look, the downside of being an actress is that maybe people will misjudge you and they will make you feel bad or less than you are. Did this ever happen to you in your career?
Yeah. It happened in different ways. Let's say the first one was with a promise of I was 22 in Madrid, and this producer, and it was a connection from Zaragoza and all that, like was good connection. But in the end, let's say this producer was like promising me like a lot of things, and he saw like this star in me and could go so far, and I was trusting, and we went along like many reunions like, with the agent as well, and we're just going towards that road. And in some point, you know, I had this sense, obviously, that something was not quite okay, because the way he was speaking in metaphors, never directly, but in the metaphors was quite obvious in some point that there were some type of you know, not clear like road. So let's say it wasn't so like based on talent. And then I said, I would like if I can have my parents to come, because he was offering me also to promote and take me to LA by that time, and invest in my talent and all that. And in that moment really hurt me, because I believed in that, because I believed in my talent, and yes, I was worthy of all of that. And my parents came and spoke with him. So we're like almost ready, but my father said, I'm not quite sure, this doesn't feel right. And that day was very important for me. If I will, like, let's say he's like, okay, I'm gonna invest in you, and you're gonna be part of the whole talent we're gonna send to LA. And yes, I was invited to a restaurant in a hotel that day in Madrid, and it was a metaphor, you know, like we're painting we're painting the painting right now. We have some tools, but I think we're missing some of the colors. I remember like it was yesterday, and there was birds flying, and it was a piano on the left, was very beautiful, all the setup. But I mean, I have some tools that you might need. And I was like, okay, not quite sure if you're able to paint with those tools. And I was like, okay. And in the end, I don't want to put it too long, but basically, he was kind of offering me like a road of like, if he takes me, like if we're like together somehow, even romantically, right? I will get that tool somehow, and then I will be able to paint the paint so easily and beautifully, and you know. And it hurt me because it was a long process that truly made me believe that that was an interest, and since it came from people that I knew and all that, and it hurt me, it hurt my parents. And in that point I was not about to quit, but I was like, wow.
If this can happen to me with some
like,
people
well,
that I know in a way or another, with my parents as well, what could have happened with a perfect stranger, right?
Yeah, so in that moment I got just, you know, this can happen in any industry, not only in us. Ours is just more visible, as right now I'm talking about it, becomes visible. Many other things it happens in other industry. But that was a really awaken like light
it's
for me.
An awakening call.
Yeah, to know that you know, to see more the intentions, because when you come with so much like energy and life and excitement and
it also
innocence,
can be naive, exactly.
And you're like, wow, because you know, yeah, that's your light, that's your talent. Yes, it's worth it, but it's a business in the end. This is a business, you know. All of this is like knowing the business of all of it. And I was at the beginning, I didn't know much. I was new in Madrid, and came from Zaragoza. Like that was the connection from there. Like I trusted, and there was, but that hit me. And then from there, of course, I said no. And then I was like, okay. And I went with this heaviness. And also, then I had a movie from Zaragoza that I was a lead, Vigilo el Camino, co-lead. And then again, God, the universe brought me back to look at the magic, that you're protected. This is your talent, will come through, don't worry. And I was in Artistic Metropole, I think it was the theater, and they were playing my movie. And I was like, that's me. And I was with a girlfriend there. I was like, oh my God, that's me. And I remember she told me, enter. And I entered, I was like, oh, and I was so joyful, so full of life and excitement. And the person that was in front desk, because I was brunette in that moment, is like, oh, could hear you're blonde. Is you? It's like, yeah. By the way, the director and the agent at that time, they're in this room. They're having a reunion for a new movie called Vampire. After I saw you in this, I think you'll be a great character. If you want to try, knock the door and see if they need an actress like you. And he winked to me, and I was like, of course, yeah, why not? And I was like, and that reactivated me. And I went, enter, it's a call inside of you. And so intuition, it's a pull. And you're, and I entered, knocked, and I remember if it was yesterday, their faces like, and I was like, hi. So he told me that you're doing a casting, and this was my movie, and and I was very like, easy, natural, and somehow it happened, and they're like, yeah, actually, yeah, we saw you there, and we were talking because we didn't know that time. I didn't have an agent, came from Zaragoza, and we couldn't find you, like.
So one step leads to another one.
And then they did a casting.
Good.
And I made the casting for the lead, but I was too young because they were looking for 38 because there were two sisters. They were vampires and they had to look alike. But the director loved so much, Victor Matellano loved so much my acting that actually the role that gave me, it was the one that...
At the beginning it was small, and then
it was
they
small,
made
but
it
he
longer.
wrote a little bit more because he loved the casting that I did for the lead.
Lovely.
And from there, I got my agent, and then I started doing, more a project, and she's a woman. Since then, I had it's not because of that, but because of that moment, I was like, oh, I'm gonna work with women, and
it's more trustful.
Well, because of this experience, and and also because consciously, because my mom, and everything, I do feel more comfortable like working with women. Yes.
You told me earlier
but
that
also
there are more.
they're amazing men. Like it's not like I have a problem working with men. No.
It is sad, when people put labels on other people and then they treat you, not you. It is sad when people put labels on other people and then they treat them like they are the labels that they put on.
Yeah, this is, I think, it's true, and it's society, right? At the core, like we tend to criticize what is different because it's the fear base. What truly drives someone to criticize you? It's because you're different. So it's a fear base. You're so different, I'm afraid. I don't know what you're gonna do because you're so different and unpredictable in that way because I don't know about you. I don't know about your culture. I don't know. I only know all these things, so I have to be careful with you, right? And that plus what I said about like how I was naturally confident, it was like perfect mix for that, right? And
so this taught you something, like you were the shiny, puffy, naive butterfly, and then they just cut you and cut your wings or something.
Yeah, it was a tendency to
label you,
to label me. Yeah. And
how did this affected you professionally?
Well, professionally, there's two ways to go with this. From inside of the profession and from outside. From inside, it's good to label you as an actor for your career, because at the beginning it's like, for example, how do you enter in this like sea of actors? Is from a character they can cast you, and from all the actresses that apply, you are good for that role, right? Because, for example, I entered more into the industry after I played like a Romanian, right, in Via Viciosa, but de lado, the Trick of Luck, but it was played as as a comedy, and it was like a girl of a club of they were like prostitutes, right, but like very happy, like it's a comedy. But why did I play that? Because I was Romanian, so that was the idea.
You see the labels
that time, and of course I was at that time I was blonde, the whole labels, the whole things that put that character to be perfect for that role. And then if you're not careful enough and you keep accepting characters, as any other actor can be labeled in any other role. For me will be like, Alina, the Romanian that plays these labels, you have to be very careful, because but that's everywhere, like in this industry. Because if you're good at one character, they want to keep, especially as I've seen in TV shows and movies, not so much in theater. In theater, you can keep transforming yourself, which was what I love. I love to transform myself and be any type of character, not like who my label can say who I am,
So was it difficult for you to change your labels, or how did this happen? When did you go to Los Angeles, and what happened there?
I always dreamed to go to Los Angeles since I was a little, because I loved Michael Jackson and Britney Spears, and I still love them. Sorry. Okay. I still love them. And Britney Spears, for me, when I was little, I would see her like an angel, and she had all these commercials with Pepsi and all these things, and of course the palms and California and Los Angeles, city of angels. And I said to my mom, I remember I was like 10, I was like, one day I will live in the city of angels where Britney Spears lives. And she's like, yes. And then I went to Madrid, I did all these movies, and I always kept in my mind that I want to, and I also love like the movies, the Home Alone, The Fifth Element. That's one of my favorite movies ever. That's why now I want to do more sci-fi. I'm writing also a sci-fi called The Key. The name is The Key, and I want to be more into that road right now. That's why I went to LA, because I wanted to also explore my capacity of doing more roles.
So it was your pursuit of happiness.
My pursuit of
that led you to LA.
Yeah, and also to prove myself. How did
this happen? When did this happen?
To go to LA?
Yes.
Yeah, so this is, you remember the journal?
Yes,
okay.
You're journaling, right?
Journaling. So in my journal I said, by 2012, by 2016, I will be living in LA doing this and that and that and that. Well, it didn't happen quite the same, because at that time I entered in a relationship in Madrid. Very beautiful, but suppressing, where in some point my career became like a limitation for our relationship, and my dreams to go to LA for him were not matching because of his business and all the things were happening. And I was okay in that moment, because you're in love and say, okay, when the time will be, we'll go together. But then it didn't happen. The relationship didn't went well, because we encounter more problems in the long road. So on 2017, when I split, 1 year after of my journaling, it's interesting, I made a prayer, and I remember in this prayer I've heard this voice, and I had this vision. It will show me how Madrid was empty, and with a sensation of gray all around the town. And the movies, the Western with that ball that goes like this?
No.
the Western movies.
Yes, you're right. You're
Yeah.
right. There is a Rolling
The
Stone.
yeah, I don't know the name right now. And I've seen and I asked and I remember in my prayer I was like, what this means? Like, what is this? And the voice was like, if you want to go to LA, you have to start now. I didn't know much, but I was so clear. I trust so much that voice. I was like, oh my God, something's going to happen. I cannot go to LA anymore. And I started researching and talked to some friends in Madrid that lead me to other friends that were living in LA. I had a girlfriend, Paula, that I met her, and she was living in there, and she told me, yes, well, this is how it is. And then I was like, oh, I can go as a tourist or I can go as a student. Because I didn't had that time, I was with my Romanian passport. We couldn't enter like Spanish with ESTA. You have to go through the whole process. And I was like, okay, well, I'll start with a school. So I applied to Stella Adler, and I was approved, and I did the whole process, and I went finally there, but that took me 1 year and a half, and in between I was doing quite good in Madrid in projects. I was like, ugh, I'm leaving now that I'm like doing like all this project, and I started to do characters that were not as before. Like I did the spy girl in The Barrier, and she was not Romanian. She was not labeled as anything. It was just the girl, and I was like, wow, now that I'm receiving all these beautiful different roles, now I'm going to LA. So I had that moment of doubting, but since it was my dream since I was a kid, I was like, and that voice told me, if you go now, you can go later. Mm-hmm. And it makes sense because later entered the pandemic, and it was really hard to do all this process.
Yeah.
And so I arrived in 2019. So it
you
took
arrived
me
in LA in 2019.
19.
Wow.
And
exactly 1 year before the pandemic.
1 year before the pandemic. And I was with Stella Adler. Yeah.
Please walk me through LA. Walk me like you went to LA for the first time, the first day, the first moment you put your foot on LAX, or what airport did you arrive
The first
at?
day was raining, and it's not normal for LA. When I came in LA, it rained for 1 week and a half. But I was like the sun, because I was so happy.
What time of the year was it?
In March.
Good.
And
right after your birthday?
Before.
Before?
The 1st of March. And I remember I came and I was like, oh my, and I had the home in Hollywood, right? Like
so
15 minutes.
Were you alone?
No, with my friend Paula. In the end, like I found a space. She has a space there. I rented, and it was like 15 minutes walking distance for Stella Adler, and that just happened through the law of like prayer and manifestation, and just hearing and trusting how the things got like this. Once you put the intention, I truly believe in that. Once you put the intention, you have to kind of listen to the signs afterwards. Because if you're like this, you put
and trust the process.
And trust the process. And I love to rollerblade. So I was going every day rollerblading from the house, 15 minutes to Stella Adler. But obviously that week and a half with the rain, I couldn't. But I don't know. I remember everybody was telling me, "Wow, people wanted to have coffee with me, be around me, because I will bring that excitement about LA.
So you
that in some point you lose it once you're there, right?" I was like, it's like a kid that sees Santa Claus. I was seeing Santa Claus everywhere,
So you were walk me through the boulevard,
Yeah, I was walking.
By the Kodak Theater, you rollerblading like a
Oh
sun.
my God, yes. And I was like the stars and, the Chinese theater, and everything was just like, I cannot explain. My energy was so high, so beautiful. I could literally fly. Like I was like, I am at the top of the world, just being there, nothing else. Like I couldn't stop my smile. I was like people, and everybody, It was like, you're like in the movies. I was like, yeah.
For how long did the smile took?
For how long it stayed?
It
stayed for quite a bit, to be honest, like for 2 months, 3 months, like nonstop. Yeah, and beautiful things happened because of that. I met beautiful people in the school. I also met a friend what led me to know afterwards my lawyer, which helped me, with the O1 visa and all these things. And his girlfriend is a producer, wonderful couple. And I met through being in this school. So, and then I also, I was with Paula. She had her Spanish community there. And then I learned about the Spanish community from Spain, actually, but in LA. And all the movie industry there. And
you guys got connections in the Stella Adler School with the business, with the cinematographic industry?
Not quite, because they're more, to be honest, they're more like protective of that. They teach you to act, but they don't give you like the connections. There are other schools. But because of the students that were going there, you meet people, you get to know, and again it's about your intention. My intention was like, now that I love it, because what I wanted is to test myself. Do I really love this town as is in my imagination? Do I really want to make movies here as it was in my imagination? So I wanted to test myself. And then I said, if it is, universe, God, make things happen accordingly to that. And things just started to like connect, tuk, 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 like, okay, it's almost like when they say, in the law of attraction, this music, and I was like, okay, then it's a sign. And then I also met my ex that I was deeply in love with, but I don't want to enter into that space. But yeah, a lot of beautiful things happen. I loved that year before the pandemic.
Okay, then what happened in the pandemics? If you just say that you loved that year before the pandemics, what happened after?
Well, I think a lot of things happened, right? The pandemic affected everyone all around the planet. It's not because you're in LA. Everywhere you were, it was a moment of uncertainty.
Good, but you were still studying, right?
I was still studying, and I was with a project, about to film a project. So I was so happy, and everybody was like, oh, this is gonna pass, this is nothing, because we were in our bubble of happiness. And everybody's like, Alina, don't worry. And I had a sense, because I connected with my prayer. And I was like, go before, because if no, afterwards you can't. And somehow I connected the dots. I cannot explain you. And I'm like, this feels like more, it feels like it can be bigger than it seems. And no, they always exaggerate, la la la. And I start feeling, but I got my O1 visa on 3rd of March of 2020. 15th of March of 2020, the pandemic hit.
Oh my God.
And then
so you almost missed the stay.
I almost missed the stay. And then I could stay, obviously. And it was difficult to even travel to Europe in that time,
Mm-hmm. And then
But I was in that time I was also in a relationship. Was living. We moved together due to also the pandemic and everything. And
in LA?
In LA. And then somehow I started to change internally, because it was this fear of what's going to happen with the world. And with my partner, we were so good, but in some point there was this misalignment towards how we see like life a little bit. started to become more like, let's build a family, you know, maybe your career, look what's happening in the world, maybe it's not gonna be acting anymore. And I started feeling suffocated more and more and more, because that came like a little bit more of a pressure by each day, and I couldn't work, and I was feeling more suffocated, and with this expectation of, let's, you know, build a family,
of letting go of your
of my dream. I went there for my dream, and
Good.
yes, I want in some point maybe a family, but it wasn't ever like my main focus. Because if I
love the,
you know,
the place where the story went, because from now we feel stuck in this situation. And it's interesting how we are focusing on the pursuit of happiness and the pursuit of joy, and how you unlock yourself, and how do you reborn after feeling stuck in a situation. This is the clue now.
This is the clue. I went through a lot. You know, I had a lot of tools from before, because of acting and all this that I went through. So I had a lot of tools from Louise Hay of Love Yourself and Heal Yourself. I had tools from Edgar Tolle of the Power of Now. And I had tools from Jesus and the teachings. And I kind of like stopped putting all them together to free myself from this pressure and from the idea of labeling again, right? And I was like, I know how love feels, and love is patient and in unity and in cooperation, and there's a higher force, and if I don't feel that inside of me, I will not rush, because it's the timing based on society rules or based on even my partner desires, because having kids, it's basically us carrying the kid, you know, and you really have to be really sure that in your body and the life you're gonna bring, it's gonna be forever with you. You really have to want that. This is not a
toy
game, a toy. And I didn't felt it. It wasn't the time. It wasn't.
Good.
And and then I, of course, we split, and I split in the middle of a pandemic, and I had to find a new house by myself and find it everything by myself in the middle of the pandemic.
From now on,
and
this is the question that
and
I
then
was
I
asking.
learned how to deal with heartbreak, with some little savings, and with the pandemic and the crisis of not going back, and also the pridefulness of I didn't want to be seen. That was my thing that I have to overcome. I didn't want to see that I failed.
Good. This is very interesting. It is a very, very interesting point where we got. So you not accepting yourself failing in a position when you broke up with your boyfriend, had to move out in the pandemics, in a foreign country, in the United States. Wow, girl.
Yeah.
This was tough.
It was stubborn. But I was also confident in this higher source. Because every time I threw myself with my heart and my whole yes being, I found a rope. Every time I went to my mind and saying okay, or yeah, this is okay, I'm gonna stay here for safety or for whatever reason, like labels or what is correct, there is an compass that keep tell me when I feel this not breath, I know it's not okay.
It's
even if everyone around will tell me, well, this is perfect, but I know because I don't feel it. When I feel it and it's a yes inside of me, and it's like a voice, no, go,
then you
know, and then you'll find a way, and I'm with you, and don't and be brave. And I felt I can breathe again, but I was heartbreak, a lot of fears. I went through so many fears, and I went through so many, like,
what fears?
Of everything. Finding a house, like how I'm gonna like the career, everything. And in
And
the
yet-
middle of pandemic, I found job. I found assistant director. I went for a Life in Fields, a show, a Mexican show, but was filmed in English. And I saw the position. And I remember I said, I did some production in Spain, so I didn't lie, but I kind of said, yeah, I have experience as assistant director. And the thing is, like, the woman loved me, like, loved my personality, and I was so sure of myself. I went in the character of as assistant director, and of course I studied a little bit before on YouTube and all that. Like, of course I'm not an assistant director, I didn't know a lot about it, but I was confident and I needed the job. So
you got
I
yourself
got
the
a job.
Lovely.
And then I learned to be assistant director for 6 months and pay my bills, you know, did a lot, and I learned so much, and I learned how to humble myself a lot from the position of an actor to bring clothes to actors. I did everything. I did wardrobes. I did like not giving coffees, but I was everywhere. Like with the lighting, I have to learn, you know, how to talk to the crew of lighting, how to, like, I was part of the team, and then I learned from behind, because as an actor, you came and everything is set up for you. And
So
you
it
can,
was,
you
very
can,
important.
very important. You can learn how it is from theory, but when you go into practice, you see every single part, how much work, the beauty of each person, the unity, the you know, the teamwork. And the
Yeah.
actors didn't know I was an actress, and I could see some of them, their ego, some of them how they treat you, and I could see that from that perspective, and I was like, wow, this is so wonderful. And when they knew I'm an actress, some of them totally changed, and it was beautiful. And we create, like, you know, this. I still have friends from that time, and
So you unlocked yourself, huh?
and
It
I
was-
learned like how beautiful the universe organized, because it's like, if you want to quit on your dreams, never quit on your dreams, whatever they are, because the universe and God always finds ways, even in that moment of so much pain and nothingness. I couldn't, like, with logic, I should have gone back somehow, find a ticket and flew back to Europe. And, you know, it was pandemic. It was totally fine it wasn't such a failure. But for me, it was like, no, I didn't try. Like, it took me to be here, and now, like, to go back because of a pandemic and the heartbreak. No. Like, I know there's more
Good.
to come.
Beautiful. And more came.
And more came.
And how long did you stay after that?
I stayed, well, that's 2000. I stayed until 2020, 2021, 20. When they
One more
started,
year.
when almost a year, when they start to, like, open more, and I flew, and, you know, I saw my parents, and I came back, and I went back. I was like, you know, in Spain,
Yeah.
things were still slow. Everywhere was slow. But I was still like, I didn't try. I was always like, never give up. You know, I have this mentality of never give up if you want something. And I was like, I didn't yet try everything. But in between this, you also push yourself hard. You break into pieces. And the version that you were before doesn't exist anymore. And sometime I had like the melancholy of the Alina that came to LA. I was like always trying to find her, but I was a different Alina now, and I had to organize and understand with all this resilience that I had, but also more death and sadness somehow. It was a different joy. It was a more real joy, but I was criticizing that death because I was so much into this high vibration all the time, which was beautiful, but I will not allow in the past. But it was very functional because I could step fast and like this, and I will download, and like I will get very easily like where is the road and like where to skip the pain or skip the hurt, like because
this is a natural tendency,
to
avoid the pain.
Yeah, and now I went all in, and I was like, oh, and I was missing, but also because of this, my now my characters have so much like depth, and I can understand much more all the characters and the pain and everything due to this, this journey.
Journey.
Yeah.
So we were back in 2021, and then you went to see your parents and flew back to LA.
Flew back to LA
for other projects and all.
Yes.
Good. Alina, I would like to please talk to me about how you work with yourself, like an actress, every day. What is the work of an actor behind the stage? Physically, mentally, emotionally?
I think the work of an actor, as I see it now, it's actually, I would say, the work of a human being, because we represent human beings, we represent lives. So if you're not stable emotionally, if you don't try to, be aware of your emotions, be aware, meditating, be aware of your, mental, state, and how you keep yourself motivated, because this is an unstable career. We don't have every month payments, and that creates a lot of, stress in the system. But I've been living with so much of this that it's normal for me by now. But because of that, always I have this meditation, and I went so-called, as people say, spiritual, but it's like all these tools of how to keep yourself in trust, like faith.
It's a faith. It's important,
it's
because
faith.
Otherwise you can collapse very easily, being in between the jobs and then not knowing what's next.
Yeah.
And if it's gonna be, if you fall into the trap of not believing and not having the faith in what's coming, then you're done.
Yes, and also keeping yourself actively, creatively, like just traveling, going to places, seeing, talking to people, trying new forms. I'm writing my own movie, like learning, educating yourself. It keeps your faith up because you're in the flow, you're not waiting. And while doing casting, all that, because the problem before was this in between the yes, while you're doing casting, and until you get the yes or the no. This time,
it's very stressful.
Was so stressful. Nowadays, like I release it. If it's meant for me, and I also have this idea that I know what my message to the world I want to send, and that's why I'm writing also this sci-fi movie. I know what type of characters I want to portray, what type of stories I want to bring to the world. I want to bring stories that uplift humanity, not put down. I don't want stories about fear, about too much,
pain
and suffering. Yeah, they will have pain and suffering, but the story will be to elevate, to rise. So I was like, if those projects, they don't come to me in the end, they're not meant to be the part of this whole vision that I have. So in the end, yes, in the end, you relax yourself and also be active, like creating. And I'm studying also production, and all that in the end will, puts together. And now with Instagram, YouTube, all these things, you have tools to keep yourself active and create and visible. There's so much more than when I started. And
for our watchers, how do we call it? For the people
viewers.
that are viewers.
You can call them as you want. For our, the people says like they're my darlings, or they're people like
for the people
Lady Gaga says my monsters. You can call them as you want.
For our followers,
for viewers.
We are in Romania now, and even if the circumstances that brought us together were pretty nice and happy, I know that the fact that you are in Romania was due to a dramatic event in your family.
Yeah.
I see it in your eyes. I see the sadness and the grief of losing your grandma. I'm sorry about your loss. I'm sorry for your loss.
Thank you.
And
Um,
If you don't feel like talking about this,
no, it's
It's okay.
it's still recent, and I'm conscious about it, and I'm like, I already I passed it, but every time yeah,
it was the first grandparent who
Yeah.
left.
it's my grandma, and I was really connected to her. And the moment I heard that she was in like the hospital, I knew it. There was again this voice, and I said, okay. I left everything, and 2 days after, I was in Romania, and I was in the hospital, and I knew it. I just knew it, that she's gonna leave. Didn't know when, but I knew it's gonna leave. And I remember my mom was like, no, don't worry, don't come right now, like she's gonna be fine. But I just knew it. And then I came on the 28th of April, and the 15th of May she died. And but I was with her every single day in the hospital. The thing is, like, I with that I also realized like how important it is to be close to your family. And yes, the career and everything, it's so important, but it's like life is it's
Life on Earth is temporary. We
it's
all die.
temporarily. And my grandma was like also such a joy, and so creative, and so aware always, and misunderstood, because she was, also like a bubble and see things. And when I touched her chest in the hospital, she kind of like passed, like I could sense, like she was in coma. Afterwards, when I arrived, she was in coma, and 5 days after, she went out of the coma, and she talked to me.
Wow.
And then a little bit more, like after 5 days, she stayed like only 3 days and talked very little. And then she was asking for water, but I could talk to her, and she know I was here, yes. And she hold my hand, and then she went back to coma. And I remember I was praying, and but all the voice was like, help her to transition. It's not like help her, don't hold her here. She wants to transition. And then my mom told me in the end that my grandma told her that she wants to go, because my grandma was carrying a pain, a health one, for too long. And yeah.
Yeah.
With that, I realized that, and I spend a lot of time with my grandma, but being left and right, you don't get. And then I'm like, I want to be in LA, but I want to be more in Europe. So now this is the moment that I'm trying also to come back more to Europe. In Romania, there's also a movie industry here. It's a matter of creating and finding ways so I can be more close to my family. Also in Spain, so I'm more close to them than so far. But I'll still be, going also in LA for project. But it really hit me this moment, and my grandpa, it's not good right now. He's always talking about how
He is grieving. He is
Yeah.
very sad.
that he wants to leave, and like he's saying he's gonna so I'm like it's again a moment of
It's a process.
it's a process, and I know that we truly don't die, but when you see it, from
You
I
cannot talk to your father like this, right?
well, I try.
Yeah.
And he's very wise and accepts, and he's like, I'm gonna meet her like soon. I
Yeah.
just want to be with
Yeah,
her.
maybe if you take the Christianity
Yeah.
learnings
Yeah.
and approach,
Yeah.
it will be better.
But
What was the most special and beautiful thing that your grandmother taught you?
oh, she taught
Just
me
for the
so many things, but she taught me to observe the little things.
Alina, this is how we started our story, and now this is round and closing around. because when you were little, you were just observing the bugs,
That's
the plants, the life, and everything.
That's
and this
true.
wisdom you actually inherited from your grandmother.
That's true.
And you're taking it
Oh my
forward.
God, that's true. That's true.
So now we can cry together. And this is the joy, and this is the authentic moment, and this is the pursuit of that secret, the spark in our
Yes.
lives that we can talk about, we can journal about, and we can take our energy and our inspiration, our creativity from. Thank you for watching us. Thank you for being with us. Thank you, Alina. I love you.
Thank you, Lily. I love you
you.
too. Thank you.
Follow her channel.